Kim Kardashian's latest batch of family photographs did more than just document a lakeside summer trip. It reopened a question that has followed her since the earliest days of her relationship with Lewis Hamilton. How far has this romance actually gone, and what does it mean for the 4 children she shares with Kanye West? Nothing about the post itself was staged for maximum drama. On Monday, July 13th, Kardashian uploaded a carousel to Instagram with a simple caption, "Summers at the lake with my favorite people," followed by 2 emojis. But buried inside that carousel was a detail that entertainment outlets seized on almost immediately, a selfie showing Hamilton with his face close to Kardashian's while her youngest daughter, Chicago, leaned into the frame. A few slides later, Hamilton appeared again, dressed head to toe in motocross gear, standing near several of Kardashian's children before what looked like a dirt bike outing. None of this was leaked or captured by paparazzi. It came directly from Kardashian's own account, which is part of why it generated so much conversation. A photo shared voluntarily carries a different weight than one taken from a distance, and outlets covering the story were quick to note that this appeared to be one of the more deliberate glimpses Kardashian has given into how Hamilton fits into her family life. The remaining images from the trip showed a fairly ordinary 4th of July weekend at Lake Coeur d'Alene in Idaho, a location the Kardashian family has returned to for several summers. North, St., Chicago, and Salm, the 4 children Kardashian shares with West, were shown riding dirt bikes and quads, playing near the water, and gathering for a 4th of July dinner with red, white, and blue decorations. Kardashian's sister Khloe joined with her daughter True, and the extended group spent the weekend together in a setting that has become something of a family tradition rather than a one-off event. Even the choice of location carries a little history of its own. The lake house in Idaho has quietly become the Kardashian-Jenner family's preferred summer retreat over the past several years, a place where the sisters have brought partners, friends, and children well away from the cameras of Los Angeles or Miami. It's worth being precise about what is confirmed here and what isn't. What's confirmed is that Kardashian posted these images herself, that Hamilton appears in at least 2 of them alongside her children, and that the trip took place over the July 4th holiday weekend. What remains speculation, and this needs to be stated plainly, is the idea that this constitutes some kind of formal introduction of Hamilton as a stepfather figure. No one involved, not Kardashian, not Hamilton, not West, has used that language. The stepdad framing that circulated in headlines is an interpretation built on top of the photos, not something confirmed by any of the people in them. It's a useful example of how a single Instagram post, stripped of any accompanying statement, can generate an entire news cycle built almost entirely on inference. To understand why these images landed the way they did, it helps to look at the timeline that preceded them. Dating rumors between Kardashian and Hamilton first surfaced in late January and early February of this year, when both were reportedly at a New Year's Eve gathering hosted by Kate Hudson in Aspen, though no photograph from that night showed them together. The following month, they were seen in England during what was described as a private weekend visit. That same February, they made their first coordinated public appearance at the Super Bowl, arriving in matching black outfits, widely interpreted at the time as a soft confirmation of the relationship, even though neither of them issued a statement. A lip reader consulted by the Daily Mail claimed to have identified a comment Hamilton made to Kardashian that night about introducing her to his mother, but that reading has never been independently verified and should be treated as exactly what it is, one analyst's interpretation of silent footage, not a confirmed quote. It made for a good headline, but headlines built on lip reading are inherently unreliable, and outlets that ran with it were careful, or should have been, to frame it as an interpretation rather than a statement of fact. By April, the relationship moved further into public view. Hamilton posted a video to his own account showing the 2 of them in a Ferrari F40 at Tokyo's Daikoku parking area, drifting and performing donuts, with Kardashian's voice audible in the background reacting to the driving. That same month is generally cited as when the couple went Instagram official, and it's also when the first substantial reporting on Kanye West's reaction began to circulate. Both People and Page 6, citing sources close to West, reported that he was at peace with the relationship. One insider told Page 6 that West wasn't. Questioning, is Lewis a good person, describing Hamilton instead as a sweet, smart person, a good person and an incredible athlete. The same source suggested Hamilton had already been an acquaintance within West's circle, which may have made his presence around the children feel less foreign. It's important to flag that this entire account rests on anonymous sourcing. There is no on-record statement from West himself confirming any of it, and readers should hold that distinction in mind every time an insider is quoted in this story. The context that made this reporting notable is West's well-documented history of reacting badly to Kardashian's previous relationships. The clearest example remains Pete Davidson, whom Kardashian began dating shortly after her separation from West in 2021. During that roughly 9-month relationship, West released a song that included a threat of violence toward Davidson and put out a music video depicting an animated version of him being buried alive. Those were not rumors or insider claims. The song and video were both public releases, making them among the few verifiable, on-record actions in this entire saga. Kardashian and West's divorce was finalized in November 2022, and Kardashian has since spoken publicly, including in a podcast interview, about why she left, citing a lack of emotional stability and safety, and the toll of West's public outbursts. She's also said she didn't want to hear people speak badly about her children or extended family. Measured against that history, they've at peace, framing around Hamilton represented, if accurate, a genuine shift in tone, and it's the kind of shift that would matter to anyone trying to understand how a blended family dynamic might actually function day to day. But that framing wasn't the only one in circulation, and a responsible account of this story has to include the contradictions. Other outlets, including IB Times UK and Reality Tea, cited different anonymous sources describing West as uncomfortable, even jealous, and using words like weird to describe how it felt watching his ex-wife build a life with someone else around his kids. One report went further, alleging that West had contacted Hamilton directly to share unflattering private information about Kardashian, a claim that has not been corroborated elsewhere and should be read with real skepticism. Another report tied to photos from a Tokyo trip, which included 3 of the 4 children, Saint, Chicago, and Psalm, but notably not North, claimed the sight of Hamilton and Kardashian together with the kids set off West and reignited his frustrations over custody arrangements. Kardashian has previously and publicly rejected any suggestion that she limits West's access to the children, stating that she allows visits whenever he asks. What's clear is that these two narratives, a calm, accepting Kanye and a jealous, unsettled one, cannot both be fully accurate as described, and neither has been confirmed by West directly. The honest position is that his actual feelings remain unverified, filtered entirely through unnamed sources with potentially different agendas, and it's worth remembering that tabloid sourcing around this particular family has a long history of contradicting itself from one week to the next. The months between April and July filled in more of the relationship's public footprint. In May, Kardashian and Hamilton were seen together in New York after a performance of The Fear of 13, a Broadway production marking Kardashian's first credit as a producer. The following month, Kardashian traveled to Europe to support Hamilton at the Monaco Grand Prix, where he finished in second place. The two were seen embracing afterward, and additional sightings placed them together on a yacht off the French Riviera. Hamilton himself has spoken about Kardashian in interviews during this stretch. At a fan event at Silverstone, when asked what had improved his mood despite a difficult racing season, he first credited his relationship with the Ferrari team before adding, with a laugh, and of course, it's Kim. That's a rare instance of an on-record quote from one of the two people actually in the relationship, which puts it on firmer ground than most of what has been reported around them. It's also worth pausing on Hamilton's own career context, since much of the coverage treats him purely as Kim Kardashian's boyfriend, without acknowledging what he's navigating professionally. Hamilton is a 7-time Formula One world champion who moved to Ferrari after a long and storied run with Mercedes, and by his own admission the transition has come with a difficult stretch of results. His comments at Silverstone were as much about adjusting to a new team culture as they were about his personal life, and it's within that context, a driver managing a rebuilding season at one of the sport's most scrutinized teams, that his remarks about Kardashian should be read. The suggestion from some outlets that his improved mood is entirely attributable to the relationship oversimplifies what by his own account is a more complicated professional picture. Placed against that backdrop, the July 4th photos read less like a single dramatic turning point and more like the latest data point in a relationship that has been building steadily and semi-publicly for roughly 6 months. The Idaho Lake trip itself isn't new territory for the Kardashian family, it's a location they've returned to for multiple summers, and Khloe Kardashian's presence with her own daughter suggests this was closer to a routine extended family gathering than a staged introduction. Kendall Jenner was also reported to be in the same area with her partner Jacob Elordi, though as part of a separate outing, and Khloe's own ex, Tristan Thompson, was reportedly nearby as well, continuing what several outlets have described as an amicable co-parenting arrangement of his own. None of this suggests any single event was orchestrated for maximum media impact. Taken together, it looks more like a family that spends its summers in the same place year after year, with new partners folded in as relationships evolve. Public reaction to the photos has been mixed, which is fairly typical for a story involving the Kardashian-West family. Some commenters expressed support, framing it as Kardashian finding stability after a difficult marriage. Others focused less on Kardashian and Hamilton and more on how West might respond, a question shaped almost entirely by his own history of public outbursts rather than by anything he said about this specific trip. Social media commentary in the days following the post ranged from congratulatory to openly skeptical, with some users questioning whether the timing of the post, coming during a major American holiday weekend, historically a slower news cycle, was itself a calculated choice. That kind of speculation is common whenever a celebrity with Kardashian's level of media fluency shares a family photo, and it says as much about audience habits as it does about any actual intent behind the post. As of this writing, West has not issued any public statement about the July 4th photo specifically. Everything attributed to him regarding this relationship dates back to the April and May reporting cycle, when the relationship first became widely visible, not to this most recent set of images. One detail worth noting, because it appears consistently across multiple reports without being addressed directly by anyone involved, is the relative absence of Northwest, now 13, from these more intimate family and Hamilton photos. She wasn't shown in a shared frame with Hamilton during the Tokyo trip either. Whether that reflects anything about how the oldest child is processing this relationship, or is simply a matter of who happened to be in which photo on a given day, is not something that's been confirmed by anyone with direct knowledge. It's a pattern in the available images, not a documented fact about anyone's feelings, and it would be irresponsible to draw firm conclusions about a 13-year-old's emotional state from the mere absence of a photograph. On the business side, there's no indication so far that this relationship has had a measurable effect on Kardashian Scheme's brand or other ventures. What has shifted, according to entertainment coverage, is some of her public styling, a noticeably more sport-influenced wardrobe in recent outings, which some outlets have linked to Hamilton's influence. A handful of commentators have floated the idea that the relationship carries elements of a showman's, a mutually beneficial arrangement between two extremely visible public figures who each stand to gain from sustained media attention. That's a common accusation leveled at high-profile couples in general, and nothing about the available facts confirms or disproves it one way or another. It is, at minimum, true that both Kardashian and Hamilton operate at a level of fame where every public appearance